All right, so CreateQuest.
Oh, jeez.
oh, cheese, cheddar cheeses. It has been like a year, 2 years since we've done anything. It's been a while. Let's look at
Has
YouTube.
it only been 2 years? I feel like it was half a century ago.
I don't know. It's been a minute.
I feel like it's been forever since we've even mentioned the word CreateQuest. Like it kind of died and that was it, right? That's what I
Well, sort of. I mean, what we were trying to do wasn't working the way we wanted it to work, so we just let it taper away. So, all of that being said, our most popular video, let's see, I am on the CreateQuest YouTube now. View your channel. Our most popular video was our last one, which was the solo artist curriculum 2 years ago. It might have been a little over 2 years ago. Like, it hasn't passed the 3-year threshold yet. So, man, 2+ years ago.
What was that video of? Like, we just talked about what we loved about the solo artist curriculum.
Pretty much. Like, we talked it up quite a bit, but in the past 2 years, I think both of us have had some pretty dramatic shifts in our thinking. Like, the solo artist curriculum was like an A to Z roadmap of how to become a great character / concept artist. And it focused a whole lot on the fundamentals, which I think is still really valuable, but it was a slog.
Right? It was the worst. It was school.
It was school. And to a degree, I don't think there's anything wrong with school, but if you're a working artist, you cannot be in that type of school. There's no time for it. And the motivation isn't there for me anyway, if I'm just doing these exercises over and over and over and over and over. So for me, it was a slog. I'm not saying the information wasn't valuable.
Right. Like, honestly, both of us are self-taught, right? Neither one of us has gone to, and when you talk to an artist that is self-taught, because there's tons of just amazing artists out there that are self-taught. Even though I went to the Art Institute of Chicago and I went to a university, I consider myself self-taught. Because I went to the Art Institute of Chicago for like 2 semesters before I couldn't afford anything else, right? And it was fun. It was only fundamentals at the beginning, because you have to start like bottom of the barrel on all of these, because they're a corridor and you have to, every school's like this, which is completely bullshit, where you have to have one before the other, right? This progression. And that's not how life works. And then university was complete crap. Well, it wasn't complete crap. I'm sorry. Like, I'm like super opinionated on everything. I learned a lot about how to talk about art, and I learned a lot about postmodernism and modernism and contemporary art and abstraction. But if you wanted to be a representational painter, which I am and you are, like most university professors coming out of the 70s, like, drawing? Why would you even know how to draw a head or a face or a figure, in proportions? What's that?
Doesn't make any sense.
So when you talk about a self-taught artist, they could still have gone to school, but they recognize when they say that they're self-taught that most of what they learned has been things that they've had to go out and do and find themselves. Now, like, you could take like New Masters Academy. I went there. Everything has to be linear in school, but that's just not how it works. But we're both, my point is, self-taught doesn't mean that you haven't gone to school. It means that you recognize the majority of what you've learned that has gotten you further has been something that you've went out and found. and intentionally learn from.
And that, I think, is a really, really important distinction, because you find the things that you need to know when you're presented with a problem that you can't address with your current knowledge. So
Yeah.
that's why I think project-based learning is so much better than this roadmap. So if you have a personal project, or if you're doing client projects, you're going to be presented with problems that you can't solve with the information you have. And
Right.
that's when you have to take that initiative to find the resource that will teach you what you need to know. So, like I said, it's not that any of the information in the solo artist curriculum is bad. I'm saying that as a roadmap, it's not the best.
Yeah. And here we got
or
a
clients show up.
exactly. And we got a solo artist curriculum that basically is telling you, well, you got to put more time in. You got to work your ass off and you'll get there. And not only that, you have to do all of this stuff before you even attempt to do one of your like things that you want to do. You know?
Yeah, that doesn't work.
And
So- that doesn't work. Now, I mean, you do have to put a lot of time in, and you do have to work your ass off. But hopefully, that time that you've put in and working your ass off is toward a specific goal that you want to create. So
Right.
if
Well,
you're not
that-
working towards creating something that you want to see, then I
Right.
think it's gonna drain you quickly.
Yeah, well, see, that's the thing. The go hard mentality doesn't take any of your feelings and thoughts and ideas in there. It's just go hard, whether you want to or not, whether you like it or not. These are the prerequisites. You know, if you've been in university, you know what prerequisites are. They're the bullshit you have to get through that will completely drain all of your excitement before you even get to what you actually want to do. But this go hard mentality of the internet right now, where you put in time, doesn't take in this idea like, yeah, the time is necessary, the hard work is necessary, but it doesn't have to feel like hard work.
Right.
You know, like if you're doing something that you're like, oh, I can't wait to do this. This is fantastic. You know, let's say you're working on some comic book and you're really interested in this storyline. Or a sequential, one of those fantastic sequential, vertically scrolling comic books. What do you call those?
Web comics.
Web comics, yeah. They're beautiful the way they pace it and everything, and they even turn it sideways. It's gorgeous, right? Man, I love them so much. I could scroll for days on those, like just spend too much time on them. But you have the idea for this, and then you have a curriculum that tells you, no, you can't do that. You have to do all this other stuff before you can actually get to actual story. Fuck that. No, start doing the story now. Start trying to figure things out, and then have that ability to compare honestly what you're doing against the best out there, and see that gap, and be able to like go, fine, I'm going to try and close that gap between me and my favorite artist, and what do I need to do that. That's where it takes the drive, the motivation, the interest, the happiness, all the emotions along with that hard work, and you're not really doing work anymore. You're doing your project, your life goal, right?
Yes. So all right, so project-based learning, definitely better than roadmap solo artist curriculum. That's point number one.
Yeah.
Something else that I think we've both discovered fairly recently, because we've both been pursuing this. You did it first, and then I followed up with unfortunately free version of it. I don't know how, but I think directed learning from a mentor is also much more valuable, because it's customized to where your shortcomings are, and you're not relying on instinct to figure it out. Someone's pointing at your mistakes and being like, look there.
Yeah.
And then you're like, why didn't I see that? Why did I not see that thing?
That's the word. See. And It's the only way that you'll hear artists kind of describe it. Through experience, your eyes open, your mind opens to possibilities that you've never seen before. And many artists, really well-known artists, been in career forever, doing amazing work, they'll say, I'm not going to teach you how to draw. I'm not going to teach you how to paint. I'm going to teach you how to see your errors, how to see changes, how to see possibilities, how to see everything. And that's what you get from a person that is above you in skill, above you in experience, or whatever you want to call it, right? And having that is tremendous. Like, I did the 14-week, I'm going to totally advertise this, Smart School is fantastic. I know there's probably somebody that's going to watch this. They're going to Google Smart School, right? They're going to go to it, see the classes that are coming up right now in spring. They're going to go $2,500. Oh my God. So cheap. That is ridiculous cheap. Of course, if you can't afford it, right? Like I don't have $25, so it's not cheap to me. But to have someone look at your work weekly for 10 to 15 minutes continuously for 14 weeks straight, and being able to audit another professional's course, right, at the same time for around that price, invaluable. Like, in that 14 weeks, I've grown so much as an artist by getting feedback, right, directly from Greg Manchas, and seeing all the other feedback from the other artists. It's amazing. Absolutely amazing. The only other thing that I would say that could give you that is very rare people like Nicholas Uribe and his Our Painted Lives. And yeah, I'm totally going to plug that. The reason why I'm plugging that, because you could go to like Modern Day James, you could go to New Masters Academy, you could go to, I don't know, I'm sure you have like a million names on YouTube of people, like Proco, right? Jeff Watts School, like everything mentioned in the curriculum, right? The solo artist curriculum, all those people, you can go to them and it's like totally about this technical qualities of everything, which honestly is like the beginning part of your life as an artist, is like this technical thing. And it's the easier part. It's the part after that where it's like, who am I? And how do I bring myself into all of this? But I point out Nicholas Uribe with Our Painted Lives because he doesn't go into the technical. He takes you on this journey of 200 and something videos, right, over years, where he talks about his thought process throughout painting and life and what he does as an artist. And that is the seeing, the experience that can expand.
So the follow-up to your point about mentorship or finding your own mentors who may not be direct mentors like Nicholas Uribe, is networking. So I stumbled on this by accident by asking for a mentorship for someone who doesn't offer mentorships. Like, I wanted to pay an artist to mentor me, and he was like, well, I don't really do that, but if you want to send me your portfolio, I'll give you a portfolio review. So I was like, yeah, that would be fantastic. Like, I'm not going to turn down a free portfolio review. But he followed up with 2 really interesting exercises and my portfolio review, which addressed a lot of my shortcomings that I did not see because they're my shortcomings. Like, I could not see what he saw until he pointed it out, and it was mind-blowing. But then I followed up and was like, hey, can I send you some more work for critique when I finish it? And he was like, yeah, sure, whenever. I'm like, okay, so you're my mentor if you don't know it.
Yeah.
But the point I was trying to make here is, like, if you do find someone who is willing to offer you feedback, the best advice I can give really is to just look at people who are where you want to be, and then talk to them. That's the simplest thing that I can recommend, and you will learn from them, even if they don't offer you as targeted advice as I received. Just talking to people who are in a position that you would like to be in will help you learn from them.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
That's so hard because I hate cold emails to people. I hate getting them myself because they're annoying. But if you're short and sweet, you're, kind of like, hey, I know you don't have a lot of time. I'm an artist and love your artwork, blah, blah, blah. Keep it quick. Just, hey, do you have any classes, any videos? I would like to learn from you, that kind of stuff. How can I give you money to help me?
That is it right there. So the cold email that I sent him was not me asking for anything. It was me, well, it wasn't me asking for anything from him. It was asking me how I could give him something.
Yeah.
So I was like, hey, how can I pay you to teach me?
Yeah.
He's like, well, I don't charge, so you can't. I'm like, oh, okay.
Well, you should do that.
Yeah,
Anybody,
you should definitely do that.
right. I mean, with the ease of this, shit, we're on a video. There's Zoom, we're recording on Google, there's GoToMeeting, which is terrible, by the way. The whole mentorship is on GoToMeeting, and I'm like, wow, they need to update their stuff because it's bad. Anyway, but it's so easy to jump on. Like if by chance a big name artist or a person that is, high up in a career right now is on here and listening to us, get online. Like say, yeah, I offer one-on-one mentorships, $100 per hour or something like that. There are people out there that would go, yes, please, right?
I'm one of them.
Get out of your shell and talk to people. And that's okay. I'm going to say this is a little bit of a tangent, but kind of like connected right now in today's society, especially with AI coming in. And even before that, where everybody was looking for a digital solution to automate everything, where a company didn't have to think about it. And that's what it is. Like all the companies automate now so that they can get rid of employees and they could, blast out and get eyeballs as much as possible. What's happening is when individuals like you or myself or whoever's listening to this get like personal interaction from someone, it is so much more valuable because it's so much more rare. So if you're in a shell and you're not talking to people and you're not having interactions and you have a problem with that or it's an issue for you, it's fine. Just start training it. And how do you train it? By starting small, get out, start talking to people, go to a gallery, talk to a person at the gallery. Like for me as a fine artist that goes into galleries, get on Discord. There's a million Discord channels you can just jump into and just start talking to artists instantly.
Ours is one of them.
Yeah. You could join our Discord. That'd be kind of fun. A whole bunch of people in there, just randomly showing artwork and chatting about it. And it's like one of those things where you don't have to do much. The little icons, you hit a heart or thumbs up, that's the most minimum thing you can do. But just saying, wow, that's an amazing piece. I really love how you did this. That's all, that's how you start. But that interaction is so huge. And back to Smart School with Greg Manchez, the class I took, like getting to know him and having him like call you out and go, Chris, like in the last meeting, he like called my name. He's like, Chris, that one piece was so good, blah, blah, blah. And like, I probably would have paid twice as much for that. It isn't like I know him so well that I could like email him anytime because he's so busy, like doing jobs and things like that. But I'll probably send him an email and just like a huge thank you. And I did tell him, I'm like, I'm going to see you in the fall for your next class. Yeah, and I can't wait for it. I cannot wait. Anyway.
That is exciting. That is super exciting. I think the best decision I ever made was to really Well, artistically, best decision I ever made was my wife. Yeah. But artistically, the best decision I ever made was definitely surrounding myself with other artists. Like,
Yeah. Oh God, yeah. You can't go it alone.
You can't. And joining a community of artists and even just networking individually with artists, that's been the one thing that has given me more knowledge and opportunity than anything else. So
and motivation. Like I'm on the Our Painted Lives Patreon right now. It's only $10 a month. You're on the Loish Patreon, which is inexpensive. I think, I'm not sure, but like just being in the Discord and seeing what people share and going, whoa, I've never seen this artist. Holy cow, that's amazing. Or getting like feedback on your work, whether positive or negative. So motivating. Like there's so many neurons and things that start firing of like interest and cool things or different stuff you never thought about. It leads you down where you'd probably never find just on your own. It's because just, we talked about motivation and all that kind of stuff before, which I think is so important. But just sitting there, by yourself and trying to do everything by yourself, it is so much harder. It is so much harder. Being around people and especially other artists that are similar to you or doing, or even something somewhat similar to you, is super motivating. It's fantastic. I can't talk about more.
Yeah, like that. It really can't be overstated that the people the company you keep, you become the company you keep. That's brain pride.
Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah, like you are the amalgamation of the 5 people that you hang out with the most.
So make that artists that are at least similarly of a similar philosophy as you, or better than you in some way.
Yeah,
or
other artists like you do tattoo, and it's very and digital, and it's graphical in nature, right? But mostly figurative. But we connect because of excitement and interest and personalities and things like that. Like in our group, there's Michael Orwitz, right? Landscape painter. I don't do landscapes. You don't do landscapes, but his excitement and his, he's way up there. I mean, here's a guy making $100,000 a year just doing landscape paintings and oil, right? That's rare. That is super rare. Like every artist I talk to around here, they're like, yeah, I don't make any money on this. But it's so motivating just to hear him talk about taking stuff to a gallery, not feeling like doing this. That's really important. Like finding those similar connections. Like if you're on your own and you're looking at Kim Jong-gi, right? When he was working, and you just feel like you're just this terrible person because you don't feel like doing any art or sketching today. And then you talk to other artists and they're saying, yeah, my brain is just fried. I don't feel like doing anything. You're like, oh, what? You too? This is okay?
It is.
That's huge. Commonality, right? Common humanity.
Last night, actually. So you and I had a conversation yesterday right after I finished a tattoo. Really challenging tattoo due to the position. But by the end of that tattoo, my brain I was done. And I still went home and cleaned the house, fed the children, got everyone ready for bed, did the laundry, did all of my chores, did my half hour on the treadmill. And when I was done with everything, the house was quiet. I'm going to sit down and sketch. I don't feel like it, but I'm going to do it.
Yeah. Oh God, that is so important. Those moments where you're like, I don't feel like it, but you do it anyway.
And they weren't good sketches, and I'm okay with that. I still did it. Got to get the bad drawings out.
That's the most important thing. That is so important. Like as a person that, and what's today? Today's the 25th. Yeah, tomorrow is my anniversary. 12 years straight of art every single day for at least 30 minutes. 12 years
Nice.
anniversary.
Hey, okay. So that means, because that's our age gap, I believe, isn't it?
Really?
Yeah, I
12
believe
years?
so. So if I start now, 12 years, I could be where you are.
Oh yeah. You'd be well beyond. Because I started like after a 5-year hiatus, and I was like at the bottom, right? You'll be well beyond. The beginning of this was all about our last video 2,000 years ago with the solo artist curriculum, and we said this is the best way to do things, and it's like laid out perfectly for you, and you go through this corridor, and if you can make it through, probably like 2 people on the planet that made through it, right? If you could make it through, something just popped in my head, the whole make it through, there's a society kind of thing with that. My regular job, I work with a guy from China, and he's absolutely amazing. And he popped in my head when I was thinking about that. And that's a person that I believe could make it through it. And there's, what is it called? There's a webcomic called Omniscient Reader that I was reading. And, the Asian webcomic and the society there, the culture there is a very hardworking culture. And I bet you for that culture, that solo artist curriculum works really well, because it's like 8 hours a day, every day, bam, 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 like that hardcore work ethic. But for me and you, like most mortals, it's like impossible, right? It's like your motivation is huge, and then you get to like what is it, terms or whatever, like the second, or maybe I got through the second term, and then after that I was done. And you go through, what is it, 10 or 12?
Yeah, I don't recall. It's unimportant anyway. No,
Yeah.
I still use it for recommendations on courses. Like, if I need to know something about a specific thing, I'll just hop on there and check, because they did aggregate a phenomenal list of resources.
Yeah.
So it does make a great reference document. So yeah, 2 years ago was our last video. Now we're about to release a new one. I guess to close things off, I just wanted to chat really quick about what's in the future for this. So my idea is not to monetize it. Like, we had this grand idea before that was helping, like we wanted to change the world with CreateQuest, and I don't know, it was a big audacious goal, and there's nothing wrong with that, but I'm a full-time creator, you're a full-time creator on top of having a full-time job, full-time dad. Like, I think our goal moving forward, and correct me if you don't want to do this, but the most impact we had with our last project was the little podcast thing. It's the easiest thing we can do, because we just sit down and talk about art like we always do every week anyway, and we can just publish the stuff that sounds good and don't publish the stuff that doesn't. I think what I want to do is be useful. Like, that's part of working in a functioning society, is that you try to be useful to the people you want to serve. Like that.
Right. I could see that. And that work came up with Nicholas Uribe, and that's one of the things he was talking about with all of his paintings and his artwork. And I would love to talk about this in depth, but the idea of removing good and bad away from your artwork and producing regardless, and just focusing on how can I make this painting, this drawing, this digital piece, this sketch useful. How can I make it useful? You know? And
Well,
you're
maybe
right.
that'll
Yeah.
be our next conversation then. Like how
Yeah.
to make your practice useful.
Oh, there's so many ways. Talk,
Yeah,
we could talk forever about everything. Yeah.
I like that. I like that. So next week, I'm gonna make just a little note, be useful for next week's little
Yeah.